In this video, you're going to learn how to apply textures to a model by unwrapping an object's UVs. UVs are best described as a flattened version of your 3D model. In the real world, a label on a bottle is first printed on flat sheets and then wrapped around the bottle. We're going to be doing something similar here with this soda can. Before we bring in the texture, we need to unwrap our 3D model. Go into edit mode on your objects and switch to edge selection. We're going to mark seams that the computer will cut. When deciding about where to cut the model, think about what you would do if I gave you a pair of scissors and asked you to flatten this can out. If what you've done didn't work out, don't worry, you can always fix it. When it comes to cylindrical objects, you would want to mark each end and down the center. To mark a seam, select the edges you want to cut, then right-click and select Mark Seam. If you don't want that seam marked, you can right-click and select Clear Seam. Marking the seams changes the color of the edges so you know which edges are marked. Once you're done marking edges, press A to select all of your geometry, then press U to unwrap, and click on Unwrap. In the UV editor window, you'll see that the model has been flattened. If you look at mine, it doesn't look quite right. I did that on purpose so you can see what's happening. I'll go ahead and mark the rest of the seams so that I can correct this. For things like this tab, that's kind of an irregular shape and requires some different thinking, I would typically just mark down the center and make sure that you also get the inside of the tab. And anytime you have something like this where I have the top and bottom cut off, even though it's not a perfect circle, it's still a cylindrical shape, even with this U. So we want to mark down the center so that it has something to separate those with. Now that I'm done, I've unwrapped my object again. You can see that everything's flattened a lot better than it was before. The unwrapped UVs in the editor window are called UV islands. You can select vertices, edges, and face just like in the 3D viewport, but there's a fourth option here that lets you select UV islands. There will be times when you need to move the UV islands. Either these are too close to each other like this, or you need to move it for a texture. Let's move on to the material. Add a new material, click on the yellow dot next to base color, and select Image Texture. Click Open and go find the image that you're going to be using for your soda label. Things aren't quite lining up on the can. This is where moving the UV island comes into play. Select the island of the middle of the can and move it, rotate it, and scale it as needed. Now I don't want the rest of the can to have an image on it. I just want a metallic look. So I'm going to add a new material slot. Click New, go into Edit mode, and I'm going to select the geometry that I want to have the metallic material. To do this, make sure you're in Face Selection, and because we have things marked, I can just hover my mouse cursor over a selection and press L. Pressing L selects Linked Geometry. Now because we've marked seams, we're kind of cutting it from being able to select other areas. So I'll go over here, press L, and select everything that I want. Now that everything's selected, go ahead and click Assign to that new material. Then I can change the metallic levels and roughness and whatever else it is that you want to do. And I can adjust the soda label separately. And there you have it, the basics of UV unwrapping and texturing. Now try it for yourself and have fun.